Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Ether Hub. I'm Simon, bringing you another Magic the Gathering story. Today we continue with Crimson Vow, the setting for one of the most anticipated weddings in MTG's history. The actual reception, well, it didn't go quite as Olivia imagined. A bunch of ramscallions have trampled her gown as well as her guests. Her groom has been spirited away by Sorin Markov, and now she's running for her immortal life from a rabid dog. Oh yes, the conclusion of this wedding will certainly cause discourse. Almost as much discourse as MTG Arena's new Alchemy mode. Hi-yo! Despite some personal misgivings of the new digital-only format, I can still say the wedding of Olivia Voldaren will stand out as a bigger disaster. Probably. In our previous chapter, the wedding crashers have finally arrived as our hero, the werewolf Arlinn, sniffs out the bride and the Moonsilver key on her person. This key is, well, key to saving Innistrad from eternal darkness. While her allies fight back her vampiric guards and Sorin deals with his grandfather, Arlinn herself must confront Olivia Voldaren. Now is the fateful encounter of a planeswalking werewolf and a vampire progenitor. Who will win? This is Chapter 11 of Crimson Vow's story, written by Arsenault, Rivera, Death of the Wolf. As always, before we begin, if you want to catch the previous chapters of Crimson Vow's story, please be sure to check the annotation on your screen right now or find it linked in the description below. Our community is so close to reaching 100,000 strong, so if you're enjoying the content and want to support us, please hit that like button, become a subscriber, and share the video. And now, let's get back to the lore. History watches Arlinn race through the corridors of Voldaren Manor, but it isn't Arlinn's history. There are no traces of Averbrook here, no rough wrought iron, no Abyssinian symbols, no neighbors with stories older than the trees. Here there are golden chandeliers. Here there is only the Voldaren's crest. Here everything is older than the trees, even the people. And those people are watching her as she chases after Olivia. There are the partygoers, and those too drunk on blood to know where they've gone. She shoves them aside as easily as parting wheat. There are the guards, who put up more of a fight. Arlinn doesn't indulge them. Their swings and arrows come one after the other, and one after the other, she weaves between them, shouldering them when she's close enough. Even vampires fall when they lose their balance. She doesn't need them down forever, just long enough to get past. The geists behind her will finish the job. But there are other eyes too. Olivia's down the hall, challenging her to follow. And the portraits. Dozens in this long stretch alone, maybe hundreds throughout the mansion proper. Arlinn doesn't care to count. Dressed in their impossible finery, with thralls across their laps, their mouths slacked with blood, the people staring back at her belong to a different world. To them, existing meant taking things from others. That's power to a vampire, taking the most things from the highest places. It isn't a world Arlinn wants to be in, but it surrounds her all the same, this place that grew from death. And it occurs to her, as she finally catches Olivia in a dead end, that there's nothing alive in this corridor except her. No other soldiers, no fellow walkers, not even her wolves. The beat of Arlinn's heart is a war drum, a battle cry, a pulmic against death. Olivia opens her mouth to say something, but that mouth has fed too much already. Arlinn can't take another word. With a human howl, she lashes out, her sharp nails raking the fine fabric of Olivia's gown. And, beneath it, her flesh. The scent of blood drives Arlinn wilder. Her teeth ache to grow to fangs, but she cannot let herself be lost just yet. There's too much at stake. You, Olivia sneers. Why did you have to come? There's an answer, of course, because Olivia stole the key, but Arlinn's not inclined to reason with her just now. She presses on, wild slash after wild slash. Olivia's hidden the key somewhere in her train. Arlinn can smell it. Their progenitor is going to pay the price for her theft. One she isn't inclined to pay, it seems. Only reasonable. Vampires don't pay for much out of pocket. In her single-sightedness, Arlinn hadn't accounted for the unnatural architecture of the corridors. Somehow they've turned into an entirely new one from the dead end. Worse, There are suits of armor here, and weapons, like the gilt sword encrusted with gems that Olivia picks up. Arlinn can't pull back her swipe in time, and Olivia is all too eager to meet her. Steel bites into Arlinn's fingers. It hurts less than she expected, the thrill of the fight dulling all but the most important sensations. Still, the sight of her own bones peeking out of her is enough to slow her down. "Give us the key," Arlinn says. "Us?" says Olivia. "Oh, what a poor little doggy." A pirouette disguises her coming lunge, and Arlinn parries with her forearm a moment too late. Olivia drives the sword's tip into Arlinn's chest with wicked delight. Metal grinds against Arlinn's collarbone as Olivia cups her cheek. "You're all alone here, dear." Arlinn's not sure which is worse, the pain, now rising past the point of ignorance, or Olivia's hateful voice. Red swims at the corner of her vision. The wolf within her cries out for freedom. Arlinn won't heed it, not now. She has to keep her head clear. But before Arlinn's clear head can think of what to do, Olivia's shoving her right off the end of her sword with malicious glee. Arlinn kneels, her wound weeping onto the carpet. The painted vampires watch with unchanging amusement as Olivia, their progenitor, cackles. "I admit, none of this makes much sense to me. Wolves aren't known for thinking things through, but even still, you're pack animals, aren't you?" Olivia says. Then she tuts. "Well, most of you are." Another flourish. Arlinn braces herself. Sure enough, mid-movement, Olivia is shooting toward her like a crossbow bolt. This time, Arlinn ducks, lowering her shoulder and pushing back. It's enough to throw Olivia off balance, but only barely. Arlinn tries to grab her, but Olivia's claws find home in Arlinn's gut. Breathing starts to get harder. "It's for the best, you know," Olivia says. "Even for your kind. Humans are fun little toys, but when has one ever understood you?" Arlinn wraps a hand around Olivia's wrist. Blood wells up at the back of her throat. She spits it all over Olivia's gown. "Maybe you should try understanding them." Olivia's full-face scowl is almost worth all the pain. Disgusted, she pushes Arlinn away again. "I don't make friends with my food," she says. "Now, come on. If you're going to make this brave little stand of yours, do it properly. You know what you are, don't you?" Arlinn Cord, daughter of a blacksmith and a baker. Hard to think. "You know why you're here. To get the key. To bring daylight back to Innistrad. To get revenge for the Harvestide massacre." Olivia dabs a finger on the edge of her blade. She licks it clean, then frowns. "Certainly, you taste awful. So, if you're going to do this, little pup, why not let yourself off the leash? You're not going to win in that shape." She's right. Arlinn hates it, but she is. And maybe that's the last touch of anger she needs to send her over the edge. Senses sharpen. Strength returns to her as she grows. Strength enough to keep fighting, at least for now. Her human mind is falling away, falling into the forest. She smells pine, tastes blood. Like the cry of a lost hunter, her last conscious thought. This isn't the way we solve our problems. But there is no one in the woods to hear it. Only the Moonsilver key, only Olivia, only the faces staring back at her remain. Pure instinct drives her. She pounces. Olivia twirls away. A flash of gold, the sword's coming again. Arlinn catches it barehanded and flings it aside. With the other, she hurls Olivia through a statue of herself. Ahead, ahead, ahead. The key's somewhere on her. Get it back. End this. But there are faces too, these terrible faces. Arlinn isn't sure what drives her to do it. Animal rage, perhaps. Or an all too human rage that only the beast can unleash. For just a moment, her attention shifts to the paintings, to digging trenches across their smug faces, to tearing the canvas, to howling with fury at the sight of them. There are so many of them after all, and she is here alone. She doesn't notice Olivia's gotten behind her until it's too late. How ironic. A vampire's stiffened hand makes for an excellent steak. A plaintive whimper leaves Arlynn's throat. She falls. And there you go, guys, chapter 11 of Crimson Vow's story. We are nearing the end of Crimson Vow's story now, and still there's so much left to uncover. We're left with multiple cliffhangers. Arlinn lays dying from a stab wound by Olivia. Olivia herself still carries the Moonsilver key. Sorin has been smacked down by Edgar. And still, the holy wrath of Sigarda is looking for any victim to burn. Our heroes are out fighting the good fight, but right now, they're losing. As we head into the final few chapters of Crimson Vow, I want to gauge you guys, the viewers, on your thoughts of the story so far. Are you enjoying it? How about this new style of videos I've been producing lately? Should I continue with this format in the future? Let me know your opinions in the comment section below. As always, guys, thank you all so much for joining me today. Please show your support for our content if you're enjoying it by hitting the like button, becoming a subscriber, and sharing it with friends. It all goes a long way in helping grow our channel as we quickly approach 100,000 subscribers. Again, thanks so much for watching, and until next time, see ya!